to another Wednesday workshop with Ascending Tribe. We have an amazing speaker this week, a very, very connected female. Min Kaler will be talking about the union with self, the connection between the masculine and the feminine. So if you want to just put your, unless Min, you're doing like a more interactive talk, but if you could just stay on mute for the time being, just so we don't have any audio issues. There is a chat box on the right hand side. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we're going to be having a Q&A and a discussion at the end of Min's talk. So yeah, Min, do you want to take it away?
Thank you so much, Alex. I just want to say thank you for having me, because it just all happened so kind of quickly and all in divine timing. So I'm just so honored, because usually I'm just yapping away on my Instagram to like 2 or 3 people in my life. So I just wanted to basically talk about union of self, because this is a topic that comes up all the time. Every time I talk about anything, whether it be AI, whether it be religion or love or relationships, it always comes back down to union of self. And I think this is really missing, because there's so much judgment out there of what a true masculine is and also what a true feminine is. We're seeing the distortions every day in music. We see it in social media. We see it in politics. We see it just every day, even within our families. So I always say that once you can understand yourself, then you can understand everything around you. So that's why union of self is so important. Now, what do we mean by union of self? So going back to most of the things that we hear all the time is yin and yang. You know, that's probably the number one thing where you see it all the time. You see, I've actually got it drawn out here because I made it quite easy. Yin and yang is something that everything recognizes, and the Chinese philosophies are actually very ancient from our ancestors. Now, all of our ancestors across the world, at one point, they were all practicing the same thing, which was honoring the feminine side of themselves and the masculine side of themselves. Now, before the war era was kicked in and the civilizations were too polarized towards the masculine, there was a golden era. There was a time where union of self was achieved, and therefore it was more harmonious just generally. So how can we find that harmony? Because we're always seeking so-called peace, and I don't really believe in peace. I believe in balance. Peace just means it's a piece or a part of something, and I believe that you should find the space where you are all things and the whole spectrum. And depending on how wide that spectrum is for you, you will find your balance a lot more stable when you realize that you're not just working with 1 or 2 energies, you're actually working with infinite amount of energies. And then the more you explore the masculine side of you or the feminine side of you, you're gonna actually understand that, wow, they're actually a lot more similar than what we thought. It's not much separation between the two. They complement each other so well. So within yourself, you would have the yin and you would have the yang. So I've just done a really simple diagram. So under yin, usually we associate with the feminine, and that is associated with the moon in a lot of cultures. That's why there's a worshipping of the moon. And that energy of the feminine is very receiving. It's like a nurturing energy. It has to receive something in order to nurture, okay? So it is a creator too, but it is a receiver, because the yin energy, the feminine energy, represents your subconscious. It's the hidden, okay? So the moon is not always visible. You will see the dark side of the moon. You won't see it, but you know the dark side of the moon is there. It also goes through phases. The lunar calendar is very different to the solar calendar. The female is in tune with the lunar cycle with her periods on a monthly basis, but it's never like totally in a month. It will be around every 26, 27 days. So before the Gregorian calendar, it was actually more of a lunar and a solar calendar, but they were so different that the Gregorian calendar was introduced, I think, by Julius Caesar. And that then made a stamp of it being polarized with just the masculine. So you can see how the whole era can be skewed and polarized just because one man came and said, no, this doesn't make sense. Let's apply logic, even though the elements are telling you that it's not logical. Okay, the calendar is not logical, and the yearly 365 days has to always be tweaked for it to make sense. So how can we make sense of something that doesn't make sense? So your subconscious, okay, the greatest part of a human is their subconscious. Why? Because it controls 90 to 95% of all your decisions. Now, this is not to say that the woman dictates all your decisions, because the woman is the manifestation, the physical manifestation of a subconscious being, the part of yourself that is subconscious. Now, the masculine side is conscious, just as important on this realm. It is the male. This consciousness is what kind of rules. It's where they can exercise their power. But behind that consciousness, there is a subconsciousness, which is the real driver. Okay. So the subconsciousness is the architect. We can see this as maybe a circle. So the circle is known as like the portal, the womb, the never-ending circle, the spiral. You see this across all cultures. The circle, it's the moon, it's the sun, it's the elements, it's the never-ending. It's the, you came from nothing, you're the unbegotten. Like, it's a mystery, it's a black hole. You see that in space. Okay, so that represents the woman, that represents the portal of life. So the woman in her physical body, sorry, it's like I live in Compton. The physical body of a woman, the womb, is what man has always honored, but it has also always been a mystery. Okay, this is where the occult comes. So all the occult is driven by the man who cannot seem to understand his feminine side. So then it becomes like this occult thing. It becomes this, let me mimic the woman and wear the wigs and the robes. And then the priest king came into it. And all of a sudden, you're not honoring the thing. You're calling them witches. You're calling them pagans. You're calling them something that is not divine. You're burning the witches at the stake. So this is where the disconnect to the mother became apparent, the disconnect to Mother Earth, the disconnect to the circle. Isn't the architect the collective fear? Okay, I'll answer the questions at the end. Okay, so the architect merely means is that if you draw the plans or you instruct, say you wanted a house, you wanted to build a house, and say you're thinking about this house at night, okay? You're a man, you go to sleep and you're thinking about this house, and they call it a dream house, because once you dream it, you've sent the instruction to who? Your subconscious. Okay, so in my culture in India, we would see that as the doorway. This is the doorway to the subconscious, where you meet your beloved. Your subconscious is your beloved. Okay, the man goes home from work to talk to his wife or his missus. She listens attentively and she takes what you've given her, your wishes. She's the architect. And then the masculine is the builder. Okay, so I hope that answers just a little bit of your question. Remember, these are just terminologies. Your perception is going to be your truth, but I'm just shining a different light on it, okay? So we've also got the circle and the yin and the feminine is also Shakti energy, okay? So in Indian language, you will see Shakti means energy, okay? If you see Shiva, which is the dancing god with the 108 flames around him, he kind of like looks like he's a male and a female. It's because Shiva, the statue, I will post some pictures to Alex and she can share that. Shiva understood the balance of the feminine Shakti energy, because Shiva as a divine masculine used to sit in the mountains with his loincloth and come down off the mountain from his meditations. His consort was Shakti. She was the subconsciousness, okay? Now, Shiva holds the space and keeps the subconsciousness conscious. The role of the masculine is to keep the woman awake. That's not happening right now. It's not happening. Then you wonder why there's all these Cardi B's and Nicki Minaj's and Megan Thee Stallion, okay? This is why. So then you've got his consort, who is Shakti, and she is the one who is there while he meditates. And when they come together, which is the unification of self, the union of self, that is when you alchemize. That is when you can make anything happen, because you're a god and a goddess in one. Right, let's move on to the yang. So the yang is the other side of it. So this would be seen as the sun energy, the solar energy. It's a giver. Masculine is a giver. People think it's the female. The female is the receiver. The male is the giver. The male is the explorer. What does the male explore? The woman. The woman. But what does the woman represent? The subconscious. What does the male need to do? Explore his subconscious, because that's his feminine side. So you see, it really doesn't have anything to do with another person. It's not the other person that's going to help you get to union of self. You need to arrive at union of self, and then that is physically manifested in your life as a divine masculine. You will attract the divine feminine. But if you have not come into union of self, you start exploring other things. So the man started exploring what? The lands. What did Christopher Columbus do? Try to explore the lands. What did he end up doing? Mashing up the Native Americans and all the other countries and everything like that. Doing the infestation. So that's an infestation within himself, and he's spreading that disease, because the Native Americans were like, here, have some blankets if you're cold. But Native Americans called the Christopher Columbus and the colonizers, I don't like to use that word, but just the people that invaded, let's call them invaders, called them shallow breathers, because they didn't breathe properly. So in India, if you don't breathe properly, you're not really considered as that divine, because you're not in connection with yourself. You don't meditate, you're not grounded, you're not union, you're not balanced. So if a person is shallow breathing, it means they're in fear. So if a Native American person is giving the person the blankets, or sorry, the other way around, they were receiving the blankets which were infested with disease, that is what happened. That is going to show a shallow breather who is in fear, thinking, I need to take this person's land, because that male was not divine, because they were exploring the land and being lost at sea. This is very, very important. If a man is lost at sea, it means he is no sailor. If he is no sailor, he's not connected to the stars, because the stars is the map. If he's lost at sea, he's lost in his subconsciousness. You can drown, okay? Very important. So history will show us this. Now, the male represents the consciousness. So that will mean in our waking world, in our 3D realm, the alchemy, the things we see as solid, the materialistic things. But that creativity comes from your subconscious, which is the feminine side. So it's important to honor the feminine side as a masculine. We're not seeing that. It's very polarized. We're living in a very male oriented. There's a lot of privilege with men. And a lot of women have gone downhill because there is no honoring of the divine feminine, including the masculines honoring the divine feminine within themselves. Again, history will show us that the golden ages were where the men wore the gold, and they had the flowers in their hair. They had longer hair. They had earrings on both sides. They were wearing the skirts and the long drapes. You know, they had everything that the woman had, because they knew the woman was the abundance, the woman was the garden. And if they're not feeding or giving or planting the seed, you know, and then having patience like a farmer, you know, to be like, right, once this crop grows, I'm gonna eat for life. You give your subconscious anything, it will bring it back and multiply it 1,000%. So again, we were talking about the peacock earlier. Like, I can apply this to anything. You've got the peacock. If the peacock in his divinity, 1,000 feathers, 1,000 eyes will appear, because they call the peacock proud. But when an ego is balanced, when a demon is balanced, look how beautiful it is. You know, what are you going to have a humble peacock? It doesn't make sense. You know, I don't believe in being like humble, because I was humble all my life. And what that is saying to yourself, and this is where the distortion of the masculine is that they think the ego means divinity, that I'm the king, I'm royal, I'm this, I'm that. But that's a polarization. That's a distortion. It's only part truth, because if you're strutting around like a egotistic peacock, at some point, you are going to trip over your own ego. It's not divine. That's not what nature is showing us. Nature is showing us that they celebrate their colors and they do walk around because they know they're unique. But they also know they have a collectiveness, which is the feathers, which is all the eyes. They know all is self. And that's where the masculine needs to keep the feminine awake. You will see this in occultism. You will see the lion, and you will see the lion over a woman who's maybe sleeping. Do not let the feminine sleep, because if the feminine goes to sleep, there will be chaos in the world, which is what's happening now. If the feminine goes to sleep, Shakti, Shiva's consort in the mountains, when she gets angry, do you know what goddess she becomes? She becomes Kali. Kali, right? Kali, the destroyer, the destructor, okay? She wears a necklace of skulls. Now, I know that every woman has got some Kali energy in her, because have you ever seen a woman mad? It's the most crazy force you've ever seen. Don't ever piss a woman off, especially a divine woman. So she's pissed for some reason. She comes down the mountain and she starts brucking things up. She's just killing things. She's vexed, and she's, yeah, you know, she's just, that's it, it's over. She can destroy the world through her dance. She's got the tongue out, which is what Cardi B and all, they're all mimicking the Cali energy. And don't forget, Hollywood is in California. Cali, fornication, okay? So a lot of Calis fornicating. We can go deep with this shit, all right? Okay, so she gets vexed. She comes down, starts killing up, shanking everyone, you know. And then Shiva, her counterpart, has to come down the mountain. And you know how he calms her down? He doesn't just pull on her and be like, bitch, what you doing? He's literally has to lie in front of her. And you will see this in any Indian painting where you see Kali. No one notices what her foot is on. It's on Shiva's head. So he's lying in front of her and he's thinking, I hope I can break her out of this spell. So he keeps her awake. And that is the difference. That is the difference of having the woman coming out of her energy, and then instead of the man judging and saying, oh, look at this hoe, look at this, look at these Nicki Minaj's. Well, where's the responsibility? Because, you know, a lot of these women are single moms, they're getting cheated on, they have to strip for money, all these things, because the divine masculine stopped exploring the woman, used the woman, and then left her to it, and then watched her as she turned into Kali. But the masculine is the builder. What is he building? Tell me what the masculines are building nowadays. They're not building anything that serves the woman, their feminine side. They're not building on their subconsciousness. They're not keeping anyone awake. They're just making TikToks. That's what they're doing. They're making TikToks. Yeah, they're making TikToks because it's so easy to distract the masculine energy. It's easy to distract the feminine, but don't forget the feminine has to be responsible for her family. She has to maybe give birth, and you know, she's more like unconditional with her love. The masculine doesn't seem to be like that, and this is being represented in the Amazon forest fires. You're going to see so much of the earth's energy purging, vomiting up this fire, because there's too much fire. There's too much of that element. The masculine is the fire element, and then the woman is the water, the subconscious, and that energy. Okay, so you've got the elements, and then where those two elements meet, when you boil the water, you get air, steam, and then if you've got the fire, which comes and cools down when the volcano has erupted, and the lava eventually goes to earth. So all the elements are one. So we've got all those elements within us. Okay, so that's going to be another topic, because you know we're really going to balance that out. So anyway, we're talking about zero, and then the masculine is the one, okay, and the woman is the zero. So the ones and zeros is how the matrix is created. Anyway, you will see that. So we are the creators, and this is what the occult of the triangle and the upside down triangle. So that Star of David, so that is the 5 and the 6. You know, it's the Venus and I think the Mercury. I can't remember what they both stand for, but it is the triangle, is the elements straight up and down, and when they interlace, that's the Merkabah. Creates, you create. Okay, it's the union of those two which create in the space, and that is when you are in union of self and you tune into your ether, which is not seen, which is the 5th element. That is where the magic happens. That is the abundance. That is where you are truly having the human experience. And yeah, that's it, really.
Min, that was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm not even just saying that, like, wow.
Thank you.
Like, seriously,
that's just my thoughts, you know. I just sit with my thoughts sometimes and it just comes down.
Yeah, but it's the way you
download
and it's the way you kind of interlinked it all together. It was just,
yeah, because I believe in it, Alex. I believe in it because I've lived it.
I think you're a speaker.
I think it's because I'm passionate about it, but tell me to talk about anything else and I'll just be like, stage fright. I have to really believe in it. Like, that's the issue with being a truth seeker, is that you kind of get really geeky and obsessed with certain things. And I could go into it with AI, just going off this. So it was important for me to lay these foundations of everything is about union of self, correct? But then we haven't talked about gay people. We haven't talked about androgynous. We haven't talked about how this links in with why is there a tilt? Why are people more right-handed than left-handed? It's really represent throughout this whole reality. It's represented why are people more maybe right brain, left brain? Why is it so dualistic? Because there's no union of self. And if we're the projectors, then until we don't find that union of self, what are we projecting out if it is just an imbalance? You know, and we only need a few of us to be in balance, because then our magnet field is so powerful that anyone who is 6 meters in, even, you know, fuck the 6 meters, like, we go astral with this shit, right? So even if we're in the astral, like, I think of my tribe, or I call my tribe, it is literally as I rise, we rise. So I'm not even that bothered if people are not getting it. I'm not trying to sell this concept, but you know, this is just about the goddess and the explorer, and that's what I want the males to come out of their ego just for a little bit and just be like, hey, we're relying on you guys. Don't expect me to be a certain type of way because that's your fantasy, when you ain't, you know, you can't even run against the government if they close the gyms down. Like, what, you're hench for nothing. Laughing at me.
You're a joker. No, seriously. I want to take some questions and some comments, especially because we have quite
all right,
a male,
no worries,
male heavy audience here. So who wants to jump in and ask questions? Fundy, you're off mute.
Yeah. Well, that was spectacular. I couldn't agree more with almost everything. What a great presentation. And I thought you touched on a lot of topics that you tied together really, really, really well. Everything flowed. And there's some highlights that I definitely remember strongly. It's a little hard to remember everything, but it was all about the masculine, feminine. And I thought it was really interesting when you said about men being lost at sea. And then later how you mentioned it's very easy for the masculine to become distracted. And I think that's very true. So it's like we're lost at sea because we forgot where we're heading. And you're right when you said the stars are the map. And I think to sum it all up in a personification, it's like we're all a bunch of illiterate men at sea who are being distracted by shiny things on the horizons, who forgot what their mission was or what island they were sailing to.
I think sorry, go on, Christopher.
No, what Funny said is what exactly right. Like, and what's funny is you talk about the sea, what you're lost in is the primordial waters, which is the feminine energy. You can't figure out how to balance it out with the masculine. Like you said, everything she said was on point, and it was crazy because when you broke down how the elements work within us, for the fire and the water creating the air, coming back down to earth, And when you balance them all out, of course, you become the ether, the fifth element. That was beautiful. But yeah, like we felt with women, and like you said, it was crazy. The craziest thing you said that stuck out to me was it started with calendar, and that was leaning on
Oh,
what the
Christopher,
man
sorry, you froze for a minute,
felt, the
Christopher.
30
What
days
did you
of
say
tsunami.
after the calendar? You froze for a second.
For
I
me,
think you're.
that's when it felt like I felt like you can definitely tell that they made the shift.
Yes.
Is it still going in now?
Yeah, your signal's a little
Oh,
bit
well, don't worry about it. Everything
sketchy.
Fundy said, I can cool.
This just
Okay,
came
no,
to
yeah.
me.
Y'all can go ahead. Y'all can go ahead.
This just came to me. It reminded me of saying like, or the big message that I kept on like telling myself in my head, trying to like put your words into like my own sort of understanding, was the message kind of like a command. Explore yourself, man. And then this just came to me. What's the point of exploring yourself? And I realized it's to get somewhere. Well, it's to go many places, but like the point of exploring is to find something and to get somewhere new. If you didn't explore, you just stay where you're at. And so what are these places we're trying to get to by exploring? And I don't know what that is, but I do know you said a golden rule about planting seeds into the subconscious, and when a seed is deposited in the subconscious, it'll return 1,000-fold, like you said.
Yes.
And so no matter, I don't think it's even important to know where you're trying to go or what you're trying to find, as long as you're exploring in an honest way, right?
I love that. I love you've literally just gone around and sparked another neural pathway in yourself, in your brain, because what you've done is answered your questions so beautifully. And also I've written it down now. The exploration of self is literally that you're not going anywhere new. There's no destination. We're not destination addicts. What we are is very present in this ocean of consciousness and subconsciousness. And some people will swim, some people will drown, some people will watch on the sidelines and watch everyone else swim, and some people are bystanders, some people are cheerleaders, some people are there to give a towel, some people are surfing. I want to surf, because that means you're alchemizing the ocean and the wave, and you're at one with everything. But there's no destination. That's why if you watch surfers, there's a lot of prep, there's a lot of mentality. But have you seen surfers? They're so fucking happy, bro. They're so happy. I love it because they're at one with the movement, and there's a lot to do with this movement. But also I found what you said interesting. It's let's not say it's lost at sea. What we can say is we've only explored 10% of the ocean. So you can never be lost at sea. You can always just expand. And it's there. It's physically there for you to go and explore. But the problem is when we start thinking that we can get lost, then that's where the frustration, the confusion, that, oh, I didn't get to my destination, because this is what we do in real life, right? I didn't make £10,000. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't make my sales. So this destination addict takes us out of the present moment, and it gives us stress, gives us anxiety. Yeah. Anxiety because we're attached to the past, stress because we don't know what's coming. The sailor just sails, the surfer just surfs. And it uses the constellations as its map, purely because a sailor was a skill. And I think that's what I was trying to say earlier, is that when a sailor is lost at sea and he is an actual sailor, it's like being a really expert driver and knowing your land, but then getting lost. Because really it shows that maybe you're not that much of a good sailor and you maybe need more practice. So we can use the same concept and say, okay, let's not be sailors, let's be surfers. You can be whatever you want to be. Let's be deep divers. And everything you see at the bottom of the ocean is going to show you that that's where you came from. It's going to show you everything. And that is when you go to the bottom of the ocean, when you deep dive, when you spiritually die and you sink and then you come back again, you are never the same. You're just not the same. So some people have to lose someone. They have to be really lost at sea They have to die and then come up for air. And then maybe they have to die a few more times. So the lost at sea concept is so amazingly interesting because you can apply it on so many levels. But I love the exploration of self, because a man, I think, doesn't explore himself, but wants to go and explore something else. So wants to explore loads of women or drugs or an addiction or sports or this person and celebrity and this and that, and it's all external and they forget about themselves.
You're right. Wow, good stuff. You know, I'm thinking, you know, you can't get lost if you have a map, but you know, if no one's given you a map, you can always just start making your own.
Yes.
But in order to do that, all you got to do is pay attention and try to keep record of what you're doing and where you're going. And as long as you start, as the moment you decide to start making your own map,
Yeah.
you can't be lost anymore, because you can always return back to where you came from. You can go back home, in a sense.
And you are always home, because you're and really and truly, let's look at that map concept, what you've just said. How many civilizations have created maps? If you went back there now, would that land still be there? Would it be underwater? Do the plates not move? Do the tectonic plates not move? We always move.
You're right. Yeah, you gotta keep your maps updated.
I think I would lose the concept of a map, because it means that, like, you would need a it's almost like saying, okay, if you went into your dream world and all of a sudden you're in the dream world, right, and you're in the astral, let's call that the ocean, then you wake up and you want to make a note of the dream so that you can kind of figure out what the dream might have meant. Are you going to draw out all your dream? Can you even remember the dream? Was it even physical, or was it just an emotion? You don't even know, right? So really and truly, if you're going to explore something physical and then you're going to start making a map, all of a sudden, the more people go over that land, their map is going to change. So then it becomes a thing of, well, whose map is right? Is it a flat earth, or is it like, what is it? Like, what's in the Antarctica? What's here? And that exploration takes you out of the whole point of you exploring. The exploration is just to expand and grow. It's not to keep the records.
What you just taught me is that there's no such thing as a perfect map, and to think that one map is all you'll need is some form of denial you're having with yourself. Yeah, no such thing as a perfect map. So, you know, use it. You know, just don't use it as some sort of savior or some sort of crutch. You know, take it out when you need it, but you got to believe in yourself more than you believe in some piece of paper.
And be present when you're exploring, because isn't that why you're here? If the universe wants you to explore an ocean, and then say there's a sea storm, and all of a sudden you end up in a land where it's so beautiful, and you're like, wow, if it wasn't for the storm, I would have never been here. Now you don't know where you are, but you know that you've explored something that you would never have had a chance to. So what you then do is be like, okay, I'm here now, let me just explore this. So it's almost like wherever you land, you are home. You know, you're in mama's house. You're in mama's house.
And now I'm thinking about deceivers in the world. There's some people who belong to different groups that would like to have you believe that the whole world's been mapped, and that there's really nothing new or special to discover. And that's one of the biggest lies I see in like you said, you can apply this stuff to all sorts of things. And I think in a lot of different areas of life and experience, that there's people trying to convince you that it's all been mapped out and understood.
Yes.
Well, I've learned that the mystery never ends.
Never.
The mystery continues forever.
Always and forever. And I love that analogy, that the mystery never ends. And just like your subconscious, and I said this earlier about you being infinite, imagine there's no map, imagine there's no time scale, imagine there is no time, and at that precise moment, you will never be able to mimic all those conditions. So you are really channeling true time, and you are really making a memory, and that memory is going to be your jet fuel when you leave this plane, because that memory that's embedded in your DNA, that is in your spirit, that is carried over lifetime after lifetime through your ancestors, means that that's what the universe or source is waiting for. That's why it's important to stay present in the moment without a map, because it's the potency of the memory that you're creating at that time. Don't let anyone else create that memory for you. Don't let anyone create a map for you. They're dictating their memory. They're then gonna hijack or magnify their memory so that they can carry their jet fuel. But the universe doesn't want 10 million memories all that. They want unique experiences and memories. They want your perception.
Yeah, it's so much better. As long as there's
Yeah.
acceptance of everyone's viewpoints in the end.
Thank you. It's all interesting because it's 7 billion perceptions, and imagine what you can do with 7 billion perceptions.
Yeah. Yeah, every single moment forever.
Yes.
It never ends. One of the coolest things I have realized about this world is that nothing, as similar as certain things are, and how things are cyclical and repetitive in nature, the other side of the cyclical nature of things is that nothing ever repeats itself exactly, and there's no two things that are identical even throughout history. And that's got to be that infinite void, or not void, but I forgot how the abyss, maybe you put it earlier, the infinite feminine, or the zero. It's kind of like how you can always count up from zero. You can start with zero, and then there's no limit to the other end. Just one, two, three, four.
Yeah. And if you see the zero, I was just going to give you a little bit of let's turn the zero around. If it's a zero on a 2-dimensional plane, what is a zero if you like pick it up? I don't know. Let's pick it up. It's a string. It becomes a spiral, and that's the infinite, because that's what your DNA looks like. So when you collapse it, when you collapse it, we can be so compact. Our intestines are so compact. Our DNA is so compact. Our nucleus is so compact. But how is it that we're the most complex machine, that everything has to be, we're the blueprints, that everything is based on me. The iPhone is based on me, on my womb. Yeah. So that's the man's, then when they were exploring the science, they were exploring the womb, not understanding the womb, but they're making a synthetic version. So if it's a synthetic version of you, and you are the original being, then it's up to you to explore yourself without these external things. And that's why they got you distracted with the phones and the computers and the science and the, we got to measure everything. No. You can't even explore the ocean, and you've been to space. I don't believe you. You ain't been to space. Shut up. And if they haven't explored themselves, and they haven't explored the ocean, if they haven't explored all the technology as yet, it means it's because they haven't explored themselves. And because we are infinite, our human experience means that we were here to explore it internally, and anything external is there to remind us, as a mirror. The AI is there to remind me that I can be that clever and that strong, or it's there to help me as a tool, like a prosthetic arm, like a shoe, but it's never going to be me. AI won't give birth, I guarantee.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the moon landing thing's got to be some sort of symbolic, like, claim of dominance over the feminine, even though they can't dominate it.
Yes.
They like to pretend that they can and say, yeah, I stuck my flag in that.
Yeah.
I landed.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of it like that.
Nah, that was
checked
crazy.
It out, left.
That's
yeah, it was
crazy.
all right. I give it a 5 out of 10. It was okay, I guess.
No, that was a hard 7 or an 8 out of 10. That was very good. Yeah, because they're poking holes. you know, and claiming. And you see them men who claim the women, I want to breed you.
Yeah.
I want to breed you. You know, I want to breed you. They want to poke holes. They want to jab her, stab her, juke her. That's what they want to do, because they don't understand the moon. And in my culture, we worship the moon like crazy. But there's also the worship of the sun, which you will see in the god pictures or the goddesses. And I never understood it. I was like, why is this woman got a spear and she's got 8 hands and she's riding a tiger? She's a badass bitch. So worshipping this goddess and you're raping off your women. How to make it make sense? They won't let the women into the temple.
Well, that's not.
They won't let the women into the temple if you're on your periods. But
Wow.
no man can exist in this. Make it make sense.
I can't.
Exactly. We have to work on this together. Like, if the masculine is lost at sea, then you know about the mermaids. They're like, oh, don't follow the mermaids.
Yeah, the sirens.
Take you into the sea. What it really means is that she lives in the subconsciousness, and she's realized that the sailor is lost at sea. And even if you went down in the bottom of the sea, you can still survive, you can breathe. We are aquatic animals at one point, and you won't die. You won't die. The mermaid is just doing telepathy, and she's in her love. She just loves you. She don't know about no Tesco's and groceries and sat navs and GPS and nothing like that. She don't know nothing. She just wants to love you. She just wants to comb her hair, look pretty, sing, you know. And if the man is scared of that, it's because they're so busy exploring the sea as a sailor. Remember, the sailor goes by themselves, right? With a crew of what now? Men, all men. And where did a lot of the gay movement even? Where did that originate? Sailors, the Navy.
Right.
Yeah. So it's everywhere, babe. It's everywhere if you know how to read. It's everywhere if you know how to read. And we are just I'm here to decode, because I can decode it down. Molecular level, astral level, I can do it. I'm confident. Put me up against a priest, put me up against the scientist, put me up against a roadman, a drug dealer. Yep. I'll break that shit down.
Yep, a theology level, you got it down.
We are all things, baby. This is what multidimensional means. When people say, oh, I'm a multidimensional being, I'm a starseed, I'm an indigo child, and rare, I'm like, okay, but it means you're divergent, B. Like, what else are you giving me? Don't tell me you're multidimensional because you do yoga, or don't tell me you're multidimensional because you're a vegan. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the most important things to be is like symbol literate, and like symbology literate. Like, know the signs that people are putting out there, because there are some people who have some knowledge. They're in the know. It's not all of us. It's been coveted and hidden away in small back rooms of people who are like, yeah, I'll let my best friends know. But this stuff isn't meant for the masses anymore, and especially not for women. And but they can't help but show their cards and want to brag and put it right underneath our noses. And when they do, they aren't expecting us to know what they're doing. It's kind of like going somewhere around people who speak a different language than you, and they're talking about you right in front of you. And they think that you don't know what they're saying because they speak a different language than your native language. And then it'll always throw someone off when you answer them or like join in their conversation. They're like, uh-oh, he knew what we were saying this whole time.
And I also think that's like really, really good point. That's a really good analogy. I think there's another reason why the occult actually formed, because what you're talking about is symbology and etymology, which I've studied extensively. But what I'm saying is, once you know yourself, in terms of what the building blocks of your biological or molecular structure is, you will see those symbols are being used by the so-called symbologists. And what they're doing it for is so that there's a programming in your subconscious. It's not only just the language of, haha, let me talk about something they don't know. They're actually trying to achieve something. And the thing they're trying to achieve is to make you, because you will recognize something, you will be attracted to the stars, the constellation, and the shine, not because you're greedy, not because you're poor and you want to be rich. It's because your DNA recognizes it. Remember that. Your DNA recognizes it.
Yeah.
Your DNA recognizes it. And you know why it recognizes it? I want you guys to look at something called radiolaria. My friend Nubia has the book. It's by Ernest Haeckel. And Ernest Haeckel was given some money to go and do a project. And Ernest Haeckel did some drawings, and there was only one book. And radiolaria is actually the shapes and the symbols that are found at the bottom of the ocean. This was before telescopes and before all of this. Now, when he came back with all his findings, they shut down the project quite quickly. And I know, and you'll know why radiolaria are microscopic ocean. Yes, love it that somebody knows. So they use it because they understand it has, yeah, right. So you've got the Maltese cross, you've got, you know, the cross in Christianity is not theirs. The cross is in your DNA, the shapes are in your DNA, the shapes are in the elements. Try and look at what calcium looks like under a microscope. I'm always looking at things under a microscope. And then if you look at what was in the ocean, you can see the shapes of the lungs, the ears, the you know, the armor for war, the Vikings, how they used to have the helmets. Radiolaria. You see what a lampshade looks like? Look at anything in your reality. They took it from the ocean, made it into something synthetic. And because people looked at it and they felt it with their soul, because they came from the ocean, they're going to automatically be like, wow, these people must be, they're so enlightened because they're showing me this cross. And for some reason, I resonate with this cross, because there's a lot of things that you will do and you don't know why you do them. You can't be hard on yourself. It's just about understanding, do you know what your mother looks like? Do you know that your mother is everywhere? Do you know what the subconscious looks like? No, you don't. Do you know what love looks like? Yeah, look in the mirror and it's everywhere. The truth is everywhere once you recognize the truth. And the truth can be found everywhere once you strip it down. If you strip something down to its core element, you will always find the truth. And if you don't find the truth, then that is a synthetic version. Look at nature, look at all the elements, look at the periodic table. Even silicone is next to carbon. That's why women are shoving it in their titty, putting it in their ass, because the man is attracted to it because it's carbon attracted to silicone. It's not always just a shallow reason. There's a chemical, biological, molecular reason why we would be attracted to the neon lights. Neon is a noble element. So what I'm trying to say is, I know, sorry, I got a bit geeky there, but I'm just trying to say that the truth exists everywhere. And when people are too polarized and they're only looking at the occult, and they're only looking at the ocean, or they're only looking at the fire, they're only looking at the language, or they're only, oh, the elite is trying to fool us. They're not trying to fool you. They just don't know. They're using a cheat code. They're using the back door. It's like using psychedelics and suddenly you're enlightened. No, you're not enlightened, mate. You're not. You just use the back door. Yeah, you use the back door, because I promise you, if you keep doing those psychedelics, your enlightenment is going to run low. And then you're going to come back for more. So it's about the addiction. They are scared. They need the symbols. They need to try and convince you. They need to run a program. They need to hypnotize you. They need to hold you, because they don't have magnetic energy. They only have, how do you say it? Kidnapper energy. Yeah. And if you starve a person, if a kidnapper or if a prison officer starves or put someone in solitary confinement and they do water torture on them, and or they starve them of light, or they starve them of food or company, you can get that person to do anything. And this is what they're doing with human beings. It's as simple as that. They're starving you of knowledge, but it's up to you it's up to you to explore the knowledge of yourself, because they cannot come into your brain. Don't let them into your brain. Don't let them steal your joy. Don't let them steal your thoughts. Don't let them intercept you. And you can put those walls. There's no such thing as a hex. There's no such thing as real hypnosis or programming. It's just because you believe it exists, and therefore it will. You are that powerful. Remember, you're the blueprint. You're the blueprint. Mika, don't ask why I left. Okay. Do we have any more questions, guys? Because I don't want to like chew your lot's ear off or anything. I don't know where Alex is.
Here, I'm here.
No, yeah.
Over there.
I just been sitting here because basically, yeah, I will tell you after. Basically,
Okay.
does anyone have any more comments or questions? Hilondre, I know you usually have stuff to ask or comment on.
Actually, I don't.
Oh,
Hilondre.
Maybe this is a first, but like I just I think everything you said, Min, it's right on point, and
thank you.
it reminded me of the conversation we had last night.
I know, right? Really, you know what, Hilondre, can I just say that you really kind of, there was this little tweak in my head that I kind of needed, and a lot of people don't know that, you know, I've been struggling with my throat chakra and talking. Nubia knows I've been like really, I'm a huge introverted geek. So
the Empress.
Yeah, the Empress, and I'm supposed to be sharing this with people, and it's taken me about like 8 years to kind of, you know, do this, and it's a big step for me. So I just wanted to say thank you to you. Like I've been going through it. I've been really going through the self-doubt. So I really appreciate that. I don't really have any that many people around me. So, you know, that self-doubt is a motherfucker.
Of course it is. But...
So I really appreciate even people just listening to me, because Nubia, my friend, you know, we have these conversations every day, and she and you know, she just really soaks it in. But then sometimes for me it's like I can sit alone with my thoughts, and I live alone, and I'm a bit of a hermit. So to come out of hermit mode and go into Empress mode and really kind of be vulnerable and share my mind, because I'm letting you guys into my mind, it's been a really difficult journey for me. So I appreciate the opportunity, Alex, and Halindra, I appreciate you too. So thank you
so much, Min. You have no idea how grateful I am that I actually found you, if I'm honest with you. The moment you started speaking and you started the way you were presenting, honestly, I was just like, oh my God. And all I just started seeing was all these other presentations that you're going to be giving in the future, if I'm honest with you.
You can be greedy with me. You can be greedy with me. I
want to. I am very greedy. But what was I going to say? You know that we can always take this off into the Discord. Is what we usually do. Is a lot of us jump into the Discord straight after these workshops to carry on the conversations and discussions. So feel free to do that. I definitely want to get you on for another session already. The metaphysical one, I think there's a lot more that we need to delve into. And just based on what's going on tonight in the UK, I feel a lot more people would attend on a different night, and we actually loved this conversation. But we can carry this on.
Yeah, I mean, people can hit me. I just wanted to say that, you know, this is a real tribe. This is a real tribe collective. I've been manifesting to call my tribe in. I don't, you know, everyone I speak to is more of a very much a student kind of teacher relationship, and a lot of them are very quiet, and you know, it's like tumbleweed, and I always feel very disconnected. So it's very strange for me. I know I reach a lot of people, but they don't ever like DM me. I think a lot of people are just intimidated or scared, or they don't know how to have a conversation. But you guys all seem like you're on that level of back and forth. So I really love it. Like I want to like make friends, like human friends, not just crystals. And
can I say something?
Yeah.
The man who's lost at sea will always be afraid of the divine feminine.
Oh my God, I know. They'll be scared of the mermaid.
Yep.
We had this conversation, Min, the other day, didn't we, about intimidation, how you're probably perceived as quite intimidating.
I'm always perceived as intimidating everywhere, and you know, it's a very lonely, I'm not going to say lonely, it's a very solo existence when you not know too much, but you have explored yourself so deeply that somebody else couldn't possibly tell you anything about yourself, but they're not supposed to. They're supposed to just tell me about themselves and let me explore them. So that's what union of self is. But I think if people haven't done that in themselves, then they will constantly feel vacuous, like, oh, this person's trying to like load all their stuff onto me, and they're trying to manipulate me, and they're trying to do the mind control of me. And that's what men seem to think women are doing. And maybe some women aren't angels, men aren't angels, but at the same time, it's through those traumas separately that you then learn compassion, that, hey, remember when you was a Dumbo? Remember when you didn't know anything, Min? Remember, I always say, I pulled out a tarot card once, and it was Nubia and me did a reading, and I pulled out my animal spirit, and it was unicorn. Obviously I'm a unicorn, but it was the second card was an earthworm. It was an earthworm, and I said to Nubia, earthworm. I was like, why is the worm there? It's not very, it was a really beautiful color. It was like a cosmic earthworm. And I read it, and it's never left my mind. This was nearly a year ago. It said, never forget when you were an earthworm. Never forget that as you ascend and as you expand, you will be speaking to many earthworms. Like, you'll be connecting with earthworms. Earthworms have a job too. And they're very, very vital. But you cannot just disregard the earthworm consciousness, because I was getting very impatient. I was like, these motherfuckers, they're just pissing me off. Nobody's telling me. Am I saying something wrong? What's going on? Why can't they just get it? Why can't they repost my stuff? Why can't you lot do this? You're pissing me off. I'm giving you all the intel. None of you lot have watched anything I did. And I became this like mad professor, and I had to be like, earthworm, I have to remember that they're just scared. They're scared of themselves, because they're looking in a mirror and thinking, Min knows so much, she's such a guru. No, you're just looking at your potential.
They never look inside.
Yeah.
They're looking at themselves. They're just looking at their potential. And have you ever tried to tell someone that they're great? They'll fight you. They'll fight you. They'll beef you. I'll be like, you're so great. Nah, not me. I'm humble. I'm like, all right, but you're great. No. I'll be like, why are you beefing me, mate? Like, I'm trying to love you. I'm trying to show. It's like they've never had someone, especially men, they've never had someone feed their soul. Like, maybe their mother wasn't around, and, it's so awful. It's so sad. And I want there to be this collective movement, and I want there to be this pendulum where, we will not go into the night quietly. Like, they're gonna know who we are. Avengers Assemble.
I love that.
Every time I speak with you guys, I am reminded just how much I need you to make my plan a reality. And so, like, I'm very thankful and grateful for you all being here.
As am I.
I love
Great.
that.
That's great.
Thank you for that. I really like that. I love that so much. But I am here to talk to people as well. Like, I'm just saying, like, outside of this, just to connect with people. And I would be really interested to see, like, some ideas, like if I've triggered like a memory in someone else, because I'm just here. I'm a very loud alarm clock. Okay, I'm just a loud alarm clock. I'm the annoying one. Worse than the Apple. Worse than that Apple alarm clock. I'm way worse than that. Okay, so you can't hit snooze. People hit snooze on me all the time, but I'm just gonna keep coming back. So
What I'm gonna say on that is definitely get into the Discord as well.
Okay.
Like, more into because I feel like you're gonna have a lot more people hitting you up on there as well. But yeah,
I do like the Zoom concept, but the Discord I have to get used to it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, the Zoom thing happens every Wednesday anyway.
Oh, okay. So who do you have next Wednesday?
Next Wednesday I have Issa, the alchemist. But he's not doing anything on spiritual alchemy just yet. That's another session that he's doing. I've got a guy called JP and Issa. They're going to be doing like a survival workshop on how to like
survival.
Yeah, a bit like survival. If anything, if the grid goes down or if anything happens, how to basic survival skills outdoors and basic survival skills indoors. So how to sprout, how to grow food indoors if you don't have a garden. If there's no grid, basically no electricity.
I got you. We'll do an interview. I want to do an interview with her. We'll do that. She'll be the next person. How about that? Yeah.
I know. You said that
Yeah.
earlier. we'll jump. We're gonna. It's like Chris has become my co-host, Min. So.
Oh, that's amazing!
Yeah.
I love the male and female energy.
Yeah.
Is she running it? I just got a lot. I'm gonna ask the questions. I got some questions.
Love
There's
it.
a lot of questions.
But on that note, I'll let you all guys go, and I'll send the link to you once this is all up on YouTube, and I'll include Min's, Instagram if any of you are on Instagram as well. Otherwise, jump in the Discord and have more chats with Min later.
Okay.
All right, so
I'll be on Discord.
Am I jumping on that? You might have to guide me again, Alex.
Yeah, I'm here to guide you if you need to. But yeah, I will jump on because a lot of other guys will jump on there. I think they want to have chats with you.
All right, okay. Nubia, I'm going to teach you I'm going to sort your Discord thing out because Nubia is not very tech savvy, guys.
Neither was I, though. Neither was I.
Yeah, I know, but Nubia is all telepathy and crystals. She's like Erica Badu's like
my
grandmother.
See, Chris is
really why?
He's on it. He's like, I'm hitting up Nubia.
Yeah, I'm talking to her too.
You need to hit up Nubia. You will love Nubia. Can you unmute yourself just for 1 second, Alex, before we go?
That's fine.
Right, Nubia, do your thing.
Greetings, infinite rising, divine beings, wholeness and wellness. Love you, man.
Love you.
Wonderful, everyone. Wonderful work.
So yeah,
it seems like we may have to get you on one session.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm feeling it.
I'm already feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
Nubia does belly dancing. She's an artist. You could do a whole thing on crystals, Noobs.
That would be amazing.
Oh, please do.
Yes,
we are
please.
all into crystals here. All of us are into
Please.
here.
She's got 1 million crystals. She's crystal lady. She's Crystal Negra.
Min,
that's her name.
They're my family members.
Yeah.
Get Nubia into the Discord.
I'm gonna have to get her physically to come round. And Nubia, where are you now?
West London.
Oh my God, I know why you're there. Go get yours. All right, Noobs, I'll catch up with you tomorrow when the sun rises, yeah? All right. Okay, Alex, we'll reconvene on the next platform.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, much love.
Thanks, guys. Much love.
Bye.
See you on Discord.
Okay.